Hi everyone, it's Raina, and this video is for the new moon in Leo, which is happening on July 31st, where I live in North America. And for you people in Europe, this is going to be on August 1st. And it's very interesting now that I think about it, because I knew there was a pagan holiday on August 1st. And when I looked it up, they actually said that the holiday extends from July 31st to August 1st. So they celebrated, I guess, on both days. And maybe it has to do with that new moon. It probably has to do. That's why they said July 31st to August 1st. I'm sure that wasn't a coincidence. But I think it is around August 1st each year, so maybe it doesn't have to do with the new moon. The new moon in Leo isn't always going to be on those dates, obviously. But anyway, this holiday is called Lamas. There's another name, and I don't know the derivation of it, if it's Gaelic or what. I'm not, well, I'll attempt it. Lugnasza. It's like Lughnasadh. Lu. Oh, I guess Lu is the sun god. Yet again, the sun god. The Celtic sun god. And what they say here, this is like a harvest festival, but it's the first harvest of the year. And this is from Wicca.com. By the way, I am not a pagan. I'm not a Wiccan or anything like that. So I'm just looking this up because, you learn about these things when you're looking up certain other information that has to do with astrology or certain special days. So they say here, as autumn begins, the Celtic sun god enters his old age but is not yet dead. The god symbolically loses some of his strength as the sun rises farther in the south each day and the nights grow longer. This is what I thought was really interesting. They say the Christian religion adopted this theme and called it Lamas. So that other word that's like Lu, whatever, Narza, that's the real name. This is the Christianized name, calling it Lamas, which means loaf mass, a time when newly baked loaves of bread are placed on the altar. An alternative date, around August 5th, Old Lamas, when the sun reaches 15 degrees Leo, is sometimes employed by covens. Okay, so they have their own rituals. I guess one of the things that they do is, they said here, save and plant the seeds from the fruits consumed during the feast, or ritual. If they sprout, grow the plant or tree with love and as a symbol of your connection with the Lord and Lady. I don't know who the Lord and Lady is, but maybe some of you know this. Walk through the fields and orchards or spend time along creeks, springs, creeks, rivers, ponds, and lakes, reflecting on the bounty and love of the Lord and Lady. Okay, so I'm telling you this because this new moon is falling around this time, and or actually during this time, and because this is a harvest festival, and looking at what's happening, the aspects during this new moon in Leo, I can draw some parallels or some connections. So at every new moon, we're talking about an exact conjunction of the sun and moon. In this case, we're talking about Leo, which is a fixed fire sign. And Leo is a sign that is associated with pride. Unfortunately, the word pride, I think, has an excessively negative connotation. I think that there is total good pride, caring about oneself, feeling like your talents are valuable. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And Leo is associated with, fifth house matters such as creativity, children, and Leo tends to be like a big kid. But that doesn't mean childish. That means playful. That means warm and spontaneous. And so we're going to see some of this type of energy kind of unfold at this time. Cancer, the sign before Leo, is a sign that is more, I almost would say inhibited. I know that some of you Cancers will write to me and read me the riot act for that. But what I mean is that Cancer is definitely very caring, but it's not as emotive in outer sort of, not just an outer way, but a very noticeable way, like Leo, the same way. Definitely Cancers can be emo. When I say emote, I probably shouldn't have used that word. I mean, Leos are passionate and Cancers are emotional. And if you can detect the nuance of those two terms, then you'll get what I'm saying. Leo is a masculine sign, so it's more extroverted. Cancer is more introverted. We are going to have Cancer energy lingering around because Mercury is in Cancer at the time of this new moon. And remember, or maybe I should tell you, that Mercury goes direct on this very same day. I'm assuming it's earlier in the day. I don't have my ephemeris in front of me. But the point being, oh yeah, here we go. Let's see. Oh, wow. This is very interesting. So I was wrong. It's actually, the case that Mercury goes direct after the new moon. Now, here's the interesting thing. So with my ephemeris, they are using the times of the East Coast of the United States. So I live in the Central Time Zone, which is the Midwest, and it's 1 hour behind the East Coast. Like the East Coast is like New York or something. Okay, so for those of you, or Florida or something like that. So the new moon is exact at 11:11 p.m. if you live on the East Coast. So if you're somebody who lives on the East Coast and you have been seeing these numbers like 11:11, this is, probably music to your ears. But I wish I could have that. I have 10:11. But that's okay, because that adds up to 3. And that's the number of abundance. And actually I'm going to talk about abundance in a minute, because this is really good for that. Also for love, okay? But anyway, so the Mercury goes direct at 11:57 p.m. So right before midnight Eastern Standard Time, Mercury goes direct. So that's pretty wild. I just naturally assumed that it was going to be before the new moon because it was so late. And of course, if you're living in Europe and other places in the Northern Hemisphere, this is going to be in your, whatchamacallit, this is going to be on the 1st of August. And so this is really a great way to begin August. I think this is going to be a wonderful month. And I want to talk about some other things that are happening at the time of this new moon. So Mercury turns direct in Cancer at 23 degrees of Cancer, which, what's wild? 23 is the lion's number. And I don't know much more about that, but I did remember reading that somewhere. Maybe I'll pause this. I was going to say maybe I'll look it up, and I paused the recording And it takes you down a rabbit hole. Basically, there's a star Regulus, and something about the Lion's Gate, which is associated with August 8th, the portal opening, 8/8. And of course, in the tarot, the strength card in most decks is number 8, and that's Leo. So, in any case, that's connected to all of that, and that's the degree that Mercury goes direct. It goes direct. And remember that Mercury is not just about communication, but it's about the consciousness. The mind and the consciousness, are they the same thing? The consciousness survives death, but it does impact the mind. If you have a lower state of consciousness, your thoughts in this world are going to be of a lower nature. If you have a higher consciousness, you will have high-minded thoughts. So, so they are one and the same in a sense, although the mind is temporary. The consciousness is, connected to your soul, your higher self, your spirit, whatever immaterial parts that you have that are also eternal. So the mind is going to be in a water sign, and then we have these other inner planets in Leo, and Venus is pretty close to the sun. Mars, not so much. So at the time that this is all going on, Venus is at 4 Leo, the sun and moon at 8 Leo. Mars is at 19 Leo. And actually, they will not be in conjunction, the sun and moon with Mars. They're just too far apart. But they will be with Venus. And this creates a lot of positivity and geniality. Venus is very polite and harmonious. And so there's a sense of ease. And Venus is magnetic. It attracts to her good things in life. So at the time of this new moon, which is already in a very positive sign, it's very important that people know that there's no negative sign. Somebody's saying, oh, well, I'm a Scorpio. You're saying Scorpio is a negative sign and Leo is a positive sign. No. Actually, the fire signs and the air signs are called positive signs. And the earth and water are negative signs. And this is because negative connects with the feminine signs and positive with the male. Isn't it, and that, we can go into the inner, the receptive is the negative, just like batteries. The positive has a little thingy that sticks out. And the masculine has a little thingy that sticks out. And the feminine is receptive, and it's more internalized. And so when you think of extroverted fire signs, they do tend to see the glass half full, and they do tend to be very generous, sometimes to a fault. And that, when you do anything in an extreme way, it's going to create imbalances. But in general, fire sign individuals have a very positive attitude, and because of the law of attraction, they tend to bring that to them. And so here we have Venus, the law of attraction. There you go, attracting. Venus the attractor in Leo. And Venus is the ruler of the second house of earned income, under the sign of Taurus. So Venus is connected to money and possessions, luxury items. But Venus also rules the seventh house of committed partnership. Not just love affairs that could go away tomorrow, but lasting love relationships and committed love relationships in the sign of Libra. And so love and abundance are connected to this particular new moon, simply by virtue of it being in Leo, but also because it's so close to Venus, and there's other reasons too. The Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mars are all making trines to Jupiter, and Jupiter, along with Venus, is a planet that is associated with positivity. Jupiter, particularly with expansion, and also with money. Okay. So, and with Jupiter also luck. So being in the right place at the right time. And so trines are the easiest aspect. So they're very fortunate in that way when you're trying to bring good to you. It's like you don't have to work too hard. And, so there's even a trine between Venus and Jupiter, again, in fire energy, which is absolutely wonderful. And so there's that going on as well. Now, there are some things that are going to challenge, just like life. We always have things that are very harmonious and some things that are a little bit challenging. So there are going to be squares from the Sun and Moon and Venus to Uranus, which is this very rebellious, nonconformist, eccentric, unpredictable, freedom-seeking planet. So squares are frustrations, the obstacles are the frustrations, and Leo is a fixed sign just like Taurus, where Uranus is currently in. And so these can be particularly like, what's that term? Not loose cannon, but pressure cooker, where there's a lot of tension there. Squares is tension, but fixed signs are also tension because they tend not to be very flexible. They tend to be very rigid in their position. So that can create a lot of obstinacy. And with Uranus, the idea of change is very alluring. And the person, I think this is going to be really more of a thing for people in current relationships where they feel, and also with a self-actualization. Oh my gosh, I have a sitar for my ringtone. I don't know if I think I was able to cut it out before it really, kicked in. And I'm recording on my phone, so that's why it made that noise. But that was great because it was like, I said something like self-realization or something. I do apologize because I'm sure that if somebody was listening with headphones, that might have been kind of a jolt. But what I was trying to say is that the sun, to me, is about self-actualization. So it's really about what you aspire to be. And when you have a square to Uranus, you may feel frustrated in your desire to be free, maybe from expectations of others that keep you from being who you came here to be. And I think that's a real theme in general in recent years, but I guess it's going to ratchet up, and then you have the moon square Uranus, and on the emotional level, people making demands, emotional demands on other people, and almost this sense of like obligation, and that's never a good motivator. So that can lead to resentment, and with squares, there's kind of like that simmering type of even anger, with fire energy, there can be that the fiery expression. And Venus is squaring off to Uranus, so in relationships. And also like freedom within the context of the definition of relationships. So even for people who are not committed, just the idea of like, if I want to date you, does that mean that I have to just completely give up any other relationship that I have? And the kind of like the unusual types of relationships that exist, the freedom, loving, polyamorous types of relationships where it is frowned upon to be jealous. And, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, and that's a sign known for detachment. So and also for that kind of innovative or ahead of its time type of self-expression and attitudes. So that's happening. So that can create a bit of relationship drama for some people. I'm acting like this is almost like a full moon, but the full moon is coming up in mid-month, actually like literally mid-month on the 15th, and that will be in Aquarius, and so that will be the opposite sign to Leo, and that will kind of highlight that need for freedom with emotional, with love, and just any type of relationship. Besides, romantic variety. But in terms of what I was saying with the trines to Jupiter, there's also going to be a trine from Mercury to Neptune, which can be great for visualization. And that means that it can be easier to manifest because the person who is setting their sights on something or setting intentions, which is a new moon activity for some kind of abundance, may really vividly, magnetically bring it to them because they have such a strong intuitive pull at this time, and the trine is the easiest of aspects for manifestation. There's also an interesting trine between Neptune and the North Node. North Node being in Cancer, by the way. Neptune in its own sign of Pisces. So let me see what actual degrees. The North Node is at 17 Cancer. And Neptune is at 18, it looks like, Pisces. Yeah. So very close conjunction. Very tight trine. And to me, this is also great for somebody who wants to manifest their kind of life path, if you will. If you're somebody who has been very kind of confused as to the direction that you need to go in, this can be very helpful for that. And it could be that you intuit it. Neptune is about the spiritual and the intuitive, and karma. It has that past life kind of a vibe to it as well. Well, the 12th house that Neptune rules does, at the very least. Neptune itself is very connected to all spiritual matters. And if you have been kind of confused about your life path, you may just have it, come to you. And that can feel like taking that first step. It doesn't mean that everything is solved. And, to me, even life path is kind of a nebulous term, which nebulous is a great word to describe Neptune, by the way. But, because you might have several things that you feel you came here to do and to become, but to just narrow it down to one thing may not be wise. It may be more of the attributes that you bring to the things that you do that is your life path. Oh my gosh. I am having such an interesting experience trying to record this. Clearing my throat when I thought it was paused, the ringtone and all this stuff. So, needless to say, I think that this is going to be a very eventful month, the month of August, and it's starting off with a bang with this new moon in Leo. And I, for one, am looking forward to really trying to manifest good things in my life, and I hope that you will too, you guys, because we can do this, and I wish you all the best. Take care. Bye.